Somewhere in the far, cold north, in a country of deep, dark forests and long, white winters, there is a place you cannot find on any map, a place that lies neither east nor west nor anywhere a compass has ever pointed, a place that lies east of the sun and west of the moon. And tonight, if you let your breathing slow and your shoulders soften and your whole tired body sink down into the warmth of where you are lying, I am going to take you there, all the way there, to the castle at the very end of the world. And I promise you, the journey is long and gentle and slow, the kind of journey you can fall asleep in the middle of and lose nothing at all. So let the day loosen its hold on you now, finger by finger, thought by thought, and come with me into the north, into the cold, into the story. It begins, as so many of the old stories do, with a poor man, a poor farmer who lived at the edge of a great forest, and he had so many children and so little to feed them with that the house was always full of hunger and worry. And yet, for all their poverty, his children were good, and his youngest daughter was the loveliest of them all, so lovely that there seemed to be a light about her, and everyone who saw her remembered her long after. And I want you to hold on to her gently, this youngest daughter, for the whole of this long night belongs to her, and to the strange and patient courage that was sleeping inside her, waiting, though she did not know it yet, for a reason to wait. Now it happened one evening, late in the autumn, when the weather was wild and dark, and the rain came lashing against the little windows, and the wind went howling round the corners of the house, so that the whole family drew close together by the fire, that there came, all at once, a knocking at the door. 3 great heavy knocks that shook the whole cottage. Tap, 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 and everyone went very still, for who could be out on such a night? Who would be knocking at a poor man's door in all that wind and dark? And the father rose slowly and went and opened the door. And there, standing in the wild, wet night, filling the whole doorway with its great white shape, was an enormous white bear. And here is the first thread of the story. So take hold of it softly and do not grip it. For a white bear knocking at a poor man's door on a wild autumn night is a strange thing indeed. And stranger still was what it wanted, for the great white bear did not roar, and it did not raise its heavy paws. It only spoke in a low, deep, gentle voice, and it said, "Good evening to you." And the poor farmer, too astonished even to be afraid, said good evening back. And the white bear said, "Will you give me your youngest daughter? Only that, only her. And if you will, I will make you as rich as you are now poor. I will fill your house with gold and drive the hunger from your door forever." And there we have the second thread already twined about the first. For why should a great white bear want a poor man's daughter? And what could a bear possibly be that it could speak so gently and promise such riches? And we will not know for a long while yet. So let the question lie quiet in your mind and simply travel on. Well, the poor man was sorely tempted for to be rich, to see his children fed and warm and safe. That was a thing he had dreamed of every hungry night of his life. And yet he could not simply give away his own beloved child to a wild white bear. And so he said, "I must speak to my daughter first. Come back in a week, and I will give you my answer." And the white bear said, "In a week, then," and turned and went away into the dark and the rain, and the door closed. And the family sat a long while in silence by the fire. And at last the father told his youngest daughter what the bear had asked, and she said, no, no, she would not go. She would not leave her home and her family to go away with a wild beast into the dark. And who could blame her? And so the week went by. But all that week the father spoke to her, gently, sadly, of how poor they were, of how the little ones went to bed hungry, of how the bear had promised to make them all rich and safe. And the mother wept, and the little brothers and sisters looked at her with their thin faces, and the girl thought and thought, and slowly, slowly, something turned over inside her. And I want you to notice how it turned, not from fear and not from being forced, but from love, for she loved them. She loved every hungry face at that table, and she began to feel that if she alone could make them all safe, if she alone could drive the hunger from that little house forever, then perhaps she could be brave enough to go. And this is a thing worth carrying down into your sleep. That real courage very often does not feel like courage at all from the inside. It feels only like love, love that has grown large enough to be a little afraid and to go anyway. And so when the week was up and the wild night came again, and the 3 great knocks came again at the door, tap, 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 the youngest daughter had made up her mind, and she had put on her cloak, and she had gathered her few small things into a bundle. And when the great white bear filled the doorway once more and asked in its low, deep voice whether she would come, she stepped forward, though her heart was beating very fast, and she said yes. And the bear knelt down upon the threshold, and it said, climb up onto my back, and hold tight to my fur, and do not be afraid. And she climbed up onto that broad, warm, white back, and she wound her fingers deep into the thick, soft fur. And the bear rose and turned and carried her away into the dark, away from the little cottage, away from everyone she loved, out into the great wild night. And the last she saw of her home was the small yellow light of the window, growing smaller and smaller behind her, until the forest closed around it and it was gone. Asterisk, asterisk, on and on they went through the dark forest, the great white bear moving smooth and steady beneath her, its wide paws making almost no sound upon the soft ground. And after a long while, when the girl had grown used to the swaying and the warmth, and had stopped being quite so afraid, the bear said gently, are you frightened? And she said, a little. And the bear said, do not be, only hold tight to my fur, and no harm will ever come to you. And so she held tight, and they went on through the night. And you may hold tight too tonight, to the warm, soft thing you are lying under. For you are just as safe as she was, safer even, going nowhere at all, except deeper and deeper down into rest. They traveled a long, long way, so long that the girl lost all sense of the hours. And at last they came to a great steep mountain, and the white bear went straight up to the sheer rock face and knocked upon it once, and a door opened in the side of the mountain where no door had been. And they went in, and inside, oh, inside, there was a castle lit with a warm golden light, with room after room all shining and splendid. And the floors gleamed, and the walls were hung with gold and silver. And there were tables spread with every good thing to eat that she had ever heard of, and a great many she had not. And the great white bear brought her to a beautiful room that was to be her own. And beside her bed there hung a little silver bell, and the bear said, whenever you want anything, anything at all. You have only to ring this bell, and it shall be brought to you at once." And then the bear left her, and she was alone in the warm, golden quiet. And she was so weary from the long journey that she ate a little, and lay down upon the soft bed, and fell fast asleep. But here is where the story grows strange and tender. So listen softly, for in the deep of that first night, when the girl was sound asleep, and all the castle was dark and still, she heard, or half heard, the door of her room open very quietly, and she felt someone come and lie down beside her in the dark, gently, without a word, and she was too full of sleep to be afraid. And whoever it was did not speak, and did not light any lamp, and was gone again before the first gray light of morning touched the mountain. And when she woke, she was alone, and she wondered whether she had dreamed it. And there is the third thread, the deepest one yet. So open your hand for it gently. Who was it that came in the dark, who lay so quietly beside her, and slipped away before the dawn? And why would he never, never let her see his face? And we will not know for a long while, but hold it close, for everything turns upon it. And so the days passed, and then the weeks, in the great golden castle inside the mountain, and the girl wanted for nothing. Whatever she wished for, she had only to ring the little silver bell, and it appeared. Fine food, fine clothes, books, music, warmth, every comfort in the world. And by day the great white bear was her companion, gentle and kind and good, and she grew very fond of him. And every night, in the dark, the silent stranger came and lay down beside her, and was gone before dawn. And she never saw him, never once. And slowly she came to feel that she was not afraid of him at all, that there was something kind in the quiet way he came, something that asked nothing of her but her trust, and she gave it, and she was, for a time, almost happy there in the golden dark of the mountain, wanting for nothing, safe from all the world. And yet, as the weeks turned into months, a sadness began to grow in her, quiet at first, and then heavier, for she was lonely, and she missed her mother and her father and her brothers and her sisters. She missed the small, poor, hungry house that had been so full of love. She missed the sound of familiar voices, and she grew pale and quiet, and she would sit for hours looking at the wall as though she could see straight through the mountain and all the long miles home. And this to you may know, the ache of missing a place, the way a person can have everything in the world and still lie awake, longing for one small window with a yellow light in it. And the white bear saw her sadness, for he saw everything. And one day he said to her, gently, "What is it that troubles you?" And she told him. And he was quiet a while, and then he said, "I will let you go home to visit, if you truly wish it. Only you must promise me one thing, and here is the fourth thread. So take hold of it lightly." For the white bear said, "You may go home and see them all, and stay as long as you like. Only promise me this, that you will not talk alone with your mother, for she will want to take you aside into a room by yourselves and speak with you all alone. And if you do this, you will bring bad luck upon us both, and great trouble will follow. So promise me, whatever else you do, you will not let her get you alone." And the girl, so glad at the thought of going home, promised him readily. Of course, she promised. And she did not think very much about it, for a promise is an easy thing to make when your heart is full of joy, though it is not always so easy a thing to keep. And you may notice drifting there on the edge of sleep. How gently and how clearly he warned her, and how surely such warnings in the old stories are the very things that are about to be forgotten. So the white bear carried her home the next morning, over all the long miles, and set her down before a fine, large house. For her family were rich now, just as the bear had promised. The little poor cottage was gone, and in its place stood a grand and comfortable home. And there they all were, her mother and her father and her brothers and her sisters, well fed and warmly dressed and overjoyed to see her. And oh, what a welcome she had, and what happiness! They could not do enough for her. They wanted to hear everything, where she had been, how she lived, whether she was truly well, and she told them she was well, that she lived in a fine castle and wanted for nothing. And they were glad, and the days went by in warmth and laughter, and it was very sweet. But her mother watched her closely, the way mothers do, and she felt certain that something was being kept from her, some sorrow, some strangeness her daughter would not speak of before the others. And at last, one afternoon, the mother took her gently by the hand and said, "Come, let us go and sit together, just the two of us, and talk." And the girl remembered her promise, and she hesitated. But her mother's face was so kind and so full of loving worry, and it seemed such a small thing, and she was only her mother after all. And so, forgetting the bear's warning, or half remembering it and setting it aside, she went with her mother into a quiet room, and they sat alone together. And it all came pouring out, everything, the golden castle in the mountain, the silver bell, the gentle white bear by day, and then, in a low voice, the strange thing, the stranger who came in the dark every night and lay down beside her and was gone before dawn, and whom she had never once seen. And the mother listened and grew troubled, and she said, "Oh, my child, this is a fearful thing. Who knows what he may be? This creature who will not let you see his face. He may be some dreadful troll, some monster, and you lying beside him in the dark, all unknowing. No, no, you must find out. You must see him, and I will tell you how. Take this." And she gave her daughter a little candle end and hid it in her bosom. And she said, "Take this candle and hide it away. And tonight, when he is asleep beside you, light it quietly and look upon his face. Only be careful, be very careful. Do not let the tallow drip upon him." And the girl was frightened now, frightened of what she might see. And she took the candle, and she said nothing. And soon after the white bear came to carry her home again. And here is the thing to hold, that she carried that little candle back into the mountain, hidden against her heart. And with it she carried the undoing of everything, though she did not know it, meaning only, as her mother had meant, to do the loving and careful thing. And that very night, when the castle was dark and still, and the silent stranger came as he always came, and lay down beside her, and fell into a deep sleep, the girl lay awake a long while, her heart pounding, and then, very quietly, she reached for the little candle she had hidden, and she lit it, and she raised it, and she leaned over, and she looked at last upon the face of the one who had lain beside her all those nights. And oh, he was no troll, he was no monster. He was the most beautiful prince that human eyes had ever seen, young and fair, with a face so gentle and so kind even in sleep that her heart turned over in her breast, and she loved him at once, entirely, the way you love a thing you have longed for without knowing its name. and she leaned closer to look at him. Closer, for she could not help herself, and in leaning, 3 drops of hot tallow fell from the candle onto his shirt. And he woke, and there are the 3 drops of tallow. The 5th thread, the one the whole long journey ahead will hang upon. So hold it very gently, 3 small drops of candle wax upon a white shirt. Remember them, for they will matter more than anything. And the prince woke, and he looked at her with such sorrow in his beautiful eyes that it near broke her heart. And he said, "Oh, what have you done?" And she began to weep, for she saw at once that something terrible had happened. And the prince said, softly, sadly, "If only you had waited, if only you had held out 1 more year, all would have been well, for I am under an enchantment. A troll queen has cursed me, and by her spell I must be a white bear by day and a man only in the night. And I might never let you see me, and had you only trusted and not looked for 1 single year, the spell would have broken, and I would have been free, and we would have been happy all our lives. But now it is too late." And the girl wept and cried out, "Oh, can nothing be done? Is there no way?" And the prince said, "Now I must leave you. I must go away from here to the castle that lies east of the sun and west of the moon. And there lives a troll princess with a nose 3 ells long, and her I must marry now, whether I will or no, for such is the curse." And the girl said, "Then tell me the way, tell me the road, and I will come and find you, and I will save you." And the prince looked at her with a terrible tenderness and said, "There is no road. That is the whole cruelty of it. The castle east of the sun and west of the moon lies where no road runs and no traveler has ever gone. You could never find your way there. No living soul could." And even as he spoke these words, the light in the room seemed to shudder, and the walls of the golden castle began to fade like breath on cold glass, and the prince himself grew dim. And the girl reached out to hold him, but there was nothing to hold, and she felt herself sink down into a great sleep or a great darkness. And when she woke, the castle was gone. The mountain was gone, the golden rooms and the silver bell all gone, and she was lying alone upon the cold, hard ground in the middle of a great dark forest, with nothing beside her but the small bundle of clothes she had brought from home. And the prince was gone east of the sun and west of the moon, to a place with no road, to marry a troll with a nose 3 ells long. And here we come to the true beginning of the story, for everything until now has only been the setting out. And now the long quest begins, the journey to the impossible place. And I want you to feel, drifting there so warm and safe, that a great deal of this story is about a person setting off to find something that everyone says cannot be found, and simply refusing to stop. For the girl did not lie down and give up. No, though she wept a long while, at last she rose to her feet, and she looked all around her at the dark, endless forest, and she did not know east from west or which way to go. And yet she chose a direction, and she began to walk. And this is the heart of everything, that she began to walk toward a place she had no road to, that everyone said was beyond all finding, only because the one she loved was there. And love that has grown large enough will set out for the ends of the earth on nothing but a hope. And so she walked, and she walked out of the forest and over hills and across cold rivers, asking everyone she met the way to the castle east of the sun and west of the moon. And every one of them shook their heads and said they had never heard of such a place. Until at last, after many days, she came to a high, steep cliff, and beneath the cliff sat a very, very old woman, playing with a golden apple, an apple all of pure, shining gold. And the girl went up to the old woman and asked her, "Please, can you tell me the way to the prince who lives in the castle east of the sun and west of the moon?" And the old woman looked up. "Are you the girl who was to have had him?" And the girl said, "Yes, yes, I am." And the old woman said, "Ah, so it is you. Well, I do not know the way there. I am sorry. I have lived long, and I have never learned it. But I will lend you my horse, and you may ride to my next neighbor, an old woman older than I, and perhaps she will know. And take this golden apple with you. You may have need of it before the end. And here is the 6th thread, so hold it softly. A golden apple, given for a need not yet known, remember it." And the old woman lent her a horse, and told her to give the horse a tap when she reached the next house, and send it home again. And the girl thanked her, and mounted and rode on, further and further, toward the setting of the sun. And she rode a long, long way, until she came at last to another cliff, and beneath it sat another old woman, older even than the first. And this one held in her hands a golden carding comb, a comb all of shining gold. And the girl asked her too, "Please, do you know the way to the castle that lies east of the sun and west of the moon?" And the second old woman said, "No, child, I do not. I have never found it. But I will lend you my horse to carry you to my neighbor, who is older still than I, and perhaps she may know. And take this golden carding comb with you, for you may have need of it." And the girl thanked her, and took the golden comb, and mounted the horse, and rode on again, further than before, over lonelier and colder country. And you may feel how the world grows wider and stranger the further she goes, and how she carries now to golden things whose purpose she does not yet know, and how she does not stop. She never stops. She only keeps on and keeping on. When you do not know the way, and no one can tell you, is its own quiet kind of faith. And after a very long while, she came to a 3rd cliff, and beneath it sat a 3rd old woman, older than the other 2 together. And this one was spinning at a golden spinning wheel, a wheel all of shining gold. And the girl asked her the same question, the way to the castle east of the sun and west of the moon. And the 3rd old woman said, "No, child, I cannot tell you, for I have never learned it either. But I will lend you my horse, and you must ride to the east wind and ask him, for the winds go everywhere in all the world. And if anyone knows the way, it will be the winds. And take this golden spinning wheel with you, for you may have need of it before all is done." And so the girl took the 3rd golden gift, the shining spinning wheel. And now she carried all 3, the golden apple, the golden carding comb, and the golden spinning wheel. And she mounted the 3rd horse and rode on, all the way to the house of the east wind. And there she asked him, "Please, east wind, can you tell me the way to the castle that lies east of the sun and west of the moon?" And the east wind said, "I have heard of it, yes. I have heard tell of that far castle, but I have never blown so far as that myself. I cannot take you there, but climb up on my back, and I will carry you to my brother, the west wind, who is stronger than I, and perhaps he has been there." And so she climbed onto the back of the east wind, and oh, how they flew over lands and seas, faster than she had ever gone. And he set her down at the house of the west wind, and she asked the west wind the same. And the west wind said, "No, I have never blown so far, but climb on my back, and I will take you to the south wind, who is stronger than either of us. And perhaps he knows the road." And so again she climbed up, and again they flew, faster and further. And the west wind set her down at the house of the south wind, and she asked him to. And the south wind said, "The castle east of the sun and west of the moon. Well, now, I have blown far in my time, far and wide, across the whole warm world, but never so far as that. No, I have never reached it. But if you truly wish to find it, there is only one who might carry you there, and that is my brother, the north wind, the oldest and the strongest and the wildest of us all. If he cannot take you there, then no one in all the world can. Climb on my back, and I will bring you to him." And so once more the girl climbed onto a wind's broad back, and once more they flew over the whole wide world, until they came to the cold and howling house of the north wind. And the north wind came blustering out, so cold and so fierce that she felt the chill of him long before she reached him. And he roared, "What do you want?" And she trembled, but she asked her question all the same. "Please, north wind," she said, "can you tell me the way to the castle that lies east of the sun and west of the moon? For the one I love is there." And the north wind grew quiet and looked at her a long while, and then he said, in a voice like a slow, deep storm, "Yes, once, long ago, I blew an aspen leaf all the way there, but afterward I was so worn out that I could not blow for many days. Still, if you are truly set upon going, and if you are not afraid, I will try to carry you there. But I tell you now, it is the very end of the world, and it will take all the strength that is in me, and I may fail, and we may both be lost in the cold sea between here and there." And the girl said, "I am not afraid, only take me." And so early the next morning the north wind woke, and he grew and swelled himself up until he was terrible to look upon, huge and dark and roaring. And the girl climbed up onto his back, and he rose into the air, and away they went, and oh, how they flew, over land and over the wide gray sea. And the north wind blew so hard and so fiercely that whole forests bent flat beneath them, and the waves rose up like mountains, and on they went, over the endless heaving sea, further than any traveler had ever gone. And the longer they flew, the more tired the north wind grew, and lower they sank toward the cold water, until the crests of the great waves were splashing at the girl's heels. And she was afraid now, truly afraid, but she said nothing. She only held on. And the north wind gathered up the very last of all his strength, the very last breath in his great old body, and with one final mighty effort, he flung them both up and forward, and cast the girl safely onto the shore beneath the windows of the castle that lies east of the sun and west of the moon. And then the north wind sank down, utterly spent, too weary to blow so much as a whisper, and he had to rest there a long while before ever he could turn for home. And there she was, at last, the girl who had crossed the whole world, standing beneath the walls of the impossible place, and now, drifting there in the warm dark, you may feel the story turn toward its close. for she had done the thing that everyone said could not be done. She had found the castle at the end of the world, and now she had only to win back the one she loved. And here at last the 3 golden gifts find their purpose. So let us see. For the very next morning, the girl sat down beneath the castle windows and began to play with the golden apple, tossing it and catching it, and it shone so bright and so beautiful that it caught the eye of the troll princess with the nose 3 ells long, the very one who was to marry the prince. And the troll princess leaned out of the window and said, "What will you take for your golden apple?" And the girl said, "It is not for sale, not for silver, and not for gold, but I will give it to you for one thing. Let me spend one night in the room where the prince sleeps." And the troll princess thought it a fine bargain, for what harm could that do? And she said yes. But here is the 7th thread, so hold it close, for the troll princess was cunning, and before she let the girl into the prince's room that night, she gave the prince a sleeping draught, a potion so strong that once he had drunk it, he could not be woken by anything at all. And so when the girl was let into his chamber in the dark and found him lying there, the very prince she had crossed the whole world to save, she called to him softly, and she shook him gently, and she wept over him, and she told him how she had journeyed to the ends of the earth to find him, but he slept on, deep and still, and would not wake, no matter what she did. And all the long night she sat beside him and grieved. And just before dawn, the trolls came and drove her out again, and the first golden gift was spent, and she had gained nothing. And yet she did not give up. No, for a heart that has come so far does not turn back at the first closed door. And so the next day she sat again beneath the windows, and this time she brought out the golden carding comb, and she combed with it in the sunlight. And again the troll princess saw it and longed for it, and leaned out and asked what she would take for it. And again the girl said, "Not silver and not gold, but one more night in the prince's room." And again the troll princess agreed, and again that night she first gave the prince the sleeping draught, so that once more he lay deep asleep and could not be woken. And once more the girl sat beside him through all the long dark hours, calling to him and weeping over him and telling him of her long journey. And once more he slept on and never stirred. And once more she was driven out at dawn with nothing gained. And the second golden gift was spent, and now she had only one left. But something had changed, though she did not know it. For in the room next to the prince's chamber, there were some good folk being held captive by the trolls. And 2 nights running they had heard, through the wall, the sound of a woman weeping and calling out to the prince, and speaking of a journey across the whole world. And on the 3rd day they went to the prince, while the trolls were away, and they told him, "There is a girl who comes to your room in the night, and weeps and calls your name, and says she has crossed the ends of the earth to find you. Only you sleep so deep you never wake." And the prince listened, and his heart leaped, for now he understood. Now he knew that she had come, and now he knew to what the trolls had been doing. And so that night, when the troll princess brought him the cup with the sleeping draught in it, the prince only pretended to drink, and poured it away in secret, and lay down and waited, wide awake in the dark. And this was the 3rd night, and the girl came in for the last time, having given away her last treasure, the golden spinning wheel, for one more chance. and she came to the bedside grieving, expecting once again to find him lost in that deep, unwakeable sleep, and she began, softly, to call his name, and oh, this time, he answered. This time he turned to her in the dark and took her hands, wide awake, and knew her, and she near wept for joy. And they had that whole night, that one precious saved night, to speak together in whispers, and he told her everything, for he had thought of a way, a clever way, the only way, to break free of the trolls at last. And here at last all the threads of the whole long story draw together into one. So listen softly, for it comes down, in the end, to those 3 small drops of tallow. Do you remember them? The 3 drops of candle wax that fell upon his white shirt on the night she first looked at his face. All that long journey ago, for the prince said, "Tomorrow is the day I am to be married to the troll princess. But I will set one condition upon the wedding. I will say that I will marry no one who cannot first wash the 3 drops of tallow out of my shirt. And this is a thing no troll can ever do. For whenever a troll touches anything clean, it grows only fouler and blacker beneath their hands. But a good and true human heart can wash it white again. And so, when the moment comes, you must be there, and you will see." And so the next morning, the wedding was to be held. And the prince said to the trolls, "Before I take a bride, I must see whether she is fit to be my wife. And I will marry no one who cannot wash these 3 drops of tallow clean out of my shirt." And the trolls laughed, for it seemed an easy thing. And the troll princess, with the nose 3 ells long, took the shirt and began to wash it. But the more the troll princess washed and scrubbed at that shirt, the worse the stains grew. For the tallow spread and darkened beneath her hands until the whole white shirt was gray and grimy and black as soot. And the old troll queen snatched it away and tried herself. But under her hands it grew blacker still. And then all the other trolls came crowding and grabbing and scrubbing at it, one after another. And with every troll that touched it, the shirt grew fouler and darker, until at last it was as black as if it had been up the chimney, and they could do nothing at all. And then the prince said, quietly, "None of you can do it, but see, there is a beggar girl outside the window. Let her try, for I dare say she knows how to wash better than the whole pack of you." And he called to the girl, "Come in and try." And she came in, the girl who had crossed the whole world, and she took the black and filthy shirt, and she dipped it into the water, and the moment her hands touched it, the shirt began to grow white again, white and clean and bright as new fallen snow, the 3 drops of tallow washed clean away, and the whole shirt shining pure and spotless in her hands. And the prince cried out for joy, "You are the one, you are the one I will marry, you and no other." And at that, the old troll queen flew into such a rage, such a wild and terrible fury, that she simply burst apart. And the troll princess with the nose 3 ells long burst after her. And all the whole pack of trolls burst to one after another and were gone. Every one of them gone forever. And the enchantment was broken at last and for good. And the prince was free, free of the curse and free of the trolls, and free to love the girl who had crossed the ends of the earth for him. And then the prince and the girl set free all the good folk who had been held captive in that castle, the ones who had spoken through the wall and saved everything. and they took with them all the gold and silver they could carry. And they left the castle that lies east of the sun and west of the moon, that cold, cursed place at the very end of the world, and they left it far behind them forever. And they journeyed home together, back across the whole wide world, back to the warm and living lands. And there they were married, truly married at last, with no curse upon them and no trolls to fear, and nothing ever again to keep them apart. And they were happy, deeply and quietly and lastingly happy, for all the long rest of their days. And so the girl who was told that her love was beyond all finding, in a place no road could reach, found him anyway, and washed him clean, and brought him home. And now the story is told, and you can let it all grow soft and still, for everything in it has come safely to rest. The prince is free, the trolls are gone, the long cold journey is over. The two who love each other are home at last, and warm and safe together, and there is nothing left for you to carry, nothing left to worry over, nothing left to solve. So let it drift now, gently, the way the north wind at last drifted home to sleep after his great long labor, spent and satisfied and glad. And let us stay just a little while longer in the quiet, while I lay the soft threads of the story over you one last time, like a warm blanket smoothed down at the end of a long day. Do you remember the very beginning? The poor cottage, and the hungry children, and the great white bear who came knocking on a wild autumn night, and how the youngest daughter said yes, not out of fear, and not because she was forced, but out of love, love that had grown just large enough to be afraid and to go anyway. And be gentle tonight with your own frightened yeses. The brave things you have done, not because they felt brave, but only because you loved someone enough to do the hard thing. For that is the truest courage there is, the quiet kind that no one sees, the kind that only feels like love from the inside. And do you remember the man who came in the dark, night after night, gentle and silent, asking nothing but her trust, and how she gave it, and how she was almost happy in the golden mountain, wanting for nothing, and how the only thing that troubled her was the small human ache of missing home? And be gentle with your own homesickness tonight, the way a heart can have every comfort in the world and still lie awake longing for one small familiar window with a yellow light in it. For that longing is not weakness, it is only love pointing back toward the people who made you, and there is no shame in it, none at all. And do you remember the promise she made and then forgot, the warning not to be taken aside, and how she looked upon his face with the little candle and let 3 drops of tallow fall? And be very gentle with yourself over that, for she did nothing wicked, she only wanted to see. She only did the careful, loving thing her mother urged, and yet it undid everything. And this is one of the softest truths in all the old stories, that sometimes we bring trouble down upon ourselves, not through any wickedness at all, but through love, through fear, through wanting too much to be sure. And that when this happens, it is not a sin to be punished, it is only a sorrow to be mended. And it can be mended. It can always be mended. It only takes the long walk to put it right. And do you remember how she did not lie down and give up when everything was lost? When the castle vanished and she woke alone on the cold ground with the one she loved, gone to a place with no road, and how she rose to her feet and chose a direction, though she knew not east from west, and simply began to walk, and kept on walking, toward a place everyone swore could not be found, only because love was there. And if there is something in your own life that everyone says is beyond all finding, some castle of your own, east of the sun and west of the moon, let the girl remind you softly tonight that the way to an impossible place is only ever this: one step, and then another, refusing to stop, asking everyone you meet, taking whatever help is offered, until at last you come to the wind that can carry you the rest of the way. And do you remember the 3 old women beneath the 3 cliffs, and how each one said, "I do not know the way, but I will lend you my horse and send you on to one who is older and may know more," and how each one gave her a golden gift whose purpose she could not yet see? And be gentle tonight with all the parts of your own journey that feel like this, the times when no one can tell you the whole way, when all anyone can offer is to carry you a little further along and pass you to the next helper. For that is very often how the longest journeys are made, not by one person who knows the whole road, but by a long, kind chain of others who each know only the next small stretch of it, and by gifts you gather without yet knowing what they are for, that turn out at the very end to be exactly what saves you. And do you remember the winds? The east and the west and the south, each stronger than the last, each carrying her a little further across the world, and the great old north wind at the end, who swelled himself terrible and dark and flew until the waves splashed at her heels, and spent every last breath in his body to fling her safe upon the far shore. And be gentle tonight with the ones who have spent themselves, the tired old strong ones, who gave you their very last strength, and then had to lie down a lone while to recover from the giving. And be gentle too with your own tiredness, for even the north wind, the strongest thing in all the world, grew weary and had to rest. And there is no shame in resting after you have carried someone as far as you can carry them. There is only honor in it. So rest now, the way the great wind rested. And do you remember, at the very end, the 3 small drops of tallow, and how the thing that had undone everything at the beginning became the very thing that set everything right at the end? For it was the washing of those 3 drops, the 3 drops she herself had spilled, that broke the whole enchantment and burst the trolls and set the prince free. And oh, hold this one closest of all as you drift down into sleep, that the very mistake which caused all the trouble was also, in the end, the doorway to all the healing, that the stain she made with her own trembling hand was the stain that only she could wash clean, and that nothing in the whole long journey was wasted, not the mistake, not the loss, not the endless walking, not one cold mile of it. It all led here, it all had to happen, so that she could stand at the end of the world and wash the shirt white and bring her love home. And so if you are carrying some 3 drops of tallow of your own tonight, some old mistake, some spilled thing you cannot seem to forgive yourself for, let the girl who crossed the whole world lay this gently over you, that the very stains we make with our own hands are so often the ones we are given, in the end, the chance to wash clean, that the trolls of the world scrub and only make things blacker, but a true and loving heart coming home at last can make the whole shirt white as snow. And that your journey, however lost it has sometimes felt, however far from any road, is carrying you, step by step and wind by wind, toward exactly the place where the thing you spilled can at last be made right. So let it all grow soft now, the cottage and the bear and the golden mountain, the candle and the vanishing and the long walk, the old women and the winds and the cold gray sea, the sleeping nights and the washing of the shirt. Let them all drift away into the warm dark, like an aspen leaf carried off gently on the north wind. And keep only this, that love that will not stop can find the place that has no road, that nothing you have suffered on the way is wasted, and that you, lying here so quiet and so safe and so nearly asleep, are being carried right now, softer than a leaf on the wind, toward your own warm homecoming, toward your own castle, where the curse is broken and the ones you love are safe and there is nothing left to fear. So breathe out slow and let go, and let the wind carry you down and down and down into sleep. There is no hurry now, none at all. The journey is over, and the two who love each other are home, and there is nothing left for you to do but rest. So let us stay a little longer in the quiet, warm dark, and let your breathing fall slow and easy. And if any small thought drifts up from the day, any leftover worry that comes floating to the surface, you do not need to hold it, and you do not need to chase it. You can simply let it be lifted away on the wind, the way the north wind lifted the aspen leaf, up and gently away, out of sight and out of mind. And another may come, and it too can drift away on the wind. For tonight you are not the one who must carry anything. Tonight you are only being carried softly, safely home. And think, if you like, as you sink down deeper, of the great old north wind at rest, his long labor done, lying quiet at the edge of the world with his terrible strength all spent, and nothing left to do but breathe slow and easy in the dark, the way you are breathing slow and easy now, rising and falling, rising and falling. And think of the golden apple and the golden comb and the golden spinning wheel, all their purpose served, glinting somewhere warm and safe. And think of the white shirt washed clean as snow, folded soft and put away. And think of the good folk set free and gone home to their own beds. And let every single thing in the whole story be at peace, the way you are coming, breath by slow breath, to be at peace. For the curse is broken now, and it stays broken, and there is no troll left anywhere in this story to fear. They are all gone, burst and vanished and gone forever. And the castle at the cold end of the world stands empty behind the two who left it, and ahead of them lie only the warm living lands, and home, and each other, and long quiet years of happiness. And you may go with them into that warmth, into that safety, into that long peaceful rest, letting the cold end of the world fall further and further behind you with every breath, until there is nothing left but warmth and softness, and the slow certainty that you are safe, and you are carried, and you are almost asleep. And think, too, of how many people in this world have set out on some journey east of the sun and west of the moon, some quest for a thing everyone told them could not be reached, and how many of them arrived in the end, not because they were the strongest or the cleverest or the luckiest, but only because they refused to lie down and stop, because they kept asking, kept walking, kept climbing onto the back of whatever wind would carry them one stretch further. And let that be a soft comfort to you tonight. that you do not have to know the whole way. You never did. You only have to keep going as far as you can see, and trust that the next helper, the next gift, the next wind is waiting just beyond where your sight gives out, and that the castle at the end of the world, however impossible it looks from here, has a shore that even you can be set down upon, gently, when the time is right, and the time will come. It always comes. So you can lay down the whole heavy weight of needing to know the way, and simply rest and be carried. So rest now, traveler. Whoever you are, and however far you have walked to arrive at this quiet place, through whatever cold seas and roadless forests of your own, you have found the castle, you have crossed the world, you have washed the shirt clean, and now there is nothing left to do but close your eyes and let go, and let the wind carry you the last soft distance down into sleep. And far from here, in the warm lands on the near side of the world, the prince and the girl lie sleeping in a house with a yellow light in the window. And she dreams, and in her dream she is walking again, walking through the endless forest with no road and no direction. But this time she is not lost, and this time she is not afraid, for she can feel the whole long journey folded safe inside her, like a story she already knows the ending of. And she walks on gently through the dream, and the three old women smile at her from beneath their cliffs and lend her their golden horses. And the four winds lift her one after another and carry her laughing over the wide, bright world. And the great north wind gathers her up so tenderly now. No struggle in it, no fear, only a warm and easy soaring over a sea gone smooth as glass. And he sets her down soft as a feather upon a shore where the castle at the end of the world has turned all to warm gold in a rising sun. And there, in the doorway, stands the one she crossed everything to find, no longer cursed, no longer sleeping, only smiling, only waiting, only glad. And she goes to him across the golden shore, and the whole dream fills with light, and you fill with light along with it, warm and weightless and carried and home. And there is nothing left anywhere to find, and nothing left to fear, and nothing left to do but drift and rest and sleep and sleep and sleep.